All right, page 4 of quarterly 3 review. So we were given this initial function up on top. The f of x equals x cubed minus 4x squared minus x plus 4. There were 4 terms. If you did factor by grouping, you would come up with this new function down here. F of x equals x plus 1, x minus 1, x minus 4. So A says find the roots. Remember, these up here were your factors. If we did that t-chart and set each one equal to 0 and solved for x, those would be your roots or your x-intercepts, they're also called. So you would get x-intercepts of -1, +1, and +4. We switch the signs. State the behavior at each root. Each one shows up once, so each one is a pass-through. Remember, if it showed up twice, it would be a bounce, 3 times a little wiggle. So again, 2, if it showed up twice, it's a bounce, 3 times a wiggle. C, determine the sign of A. Remember, A is the leading coefficient. So the front of the entire function is positive. If it was negative, you would see a nice big fat negative in front. Determine the degree. That is your highest. Remember, it also matches the number of roots. Those two numbers should be equal. So since there were 3 roots, it is a degree 3. Describe the end behavior. This was that chart I gave you guys. A positive leading coefficient with an odd degree 3 has to end up, and the odds are opposite directions, which means it starts down. Another option I gave you guys on your calculator, if you went to y equals and you typed in your function, it could be either the original or the factored one underneath it. Does not matter which one, they mean the same thing. And you click on the graph, you can look there too. So the bottom left here is showing it as going down. The top right is showing it going up. So that is another way that you can get your end behavior of down up. State the y-intercept. This is when x is equal to 0. So you can take your equation and plug in a 0 everywhere that you see x. And whatever you get as your answer is your y-intercept. So this has a y-intercept of +4. Sketch the graph of the function now. Label the x and y intercepts. So here we have an x-intercept of -1, an x-intercept of +1, an x-intercept of +4, and we had a y-intercept of +4. We said our end behavior was down up. And then because we are passing through each one, we're just going to snake along here and hit all the points. And there's your graph. 29, this was the stuff we did right before we left school. So find the 19th term of the arithmetic sequence in which A1 equals 3 and D, remember that is your common difference, what we are adding as we go from one term to the next, is -5. So the formula, which you do not have to have memorized, especially since this quarterly is a take-home, so you can easily pull up this formula. Here's your formula. The term you are looking for, remember, is n. So A19 equals A1, which they said was 3, plus n, which we said was 19, minus 1, times d, which is -5. You can plug that straight into your calculator. So we had 3 plus parenthesis 19 minus 1 times -5, and you should get -87. Number 30, last one, find the sum of the first 31 terms of the arithmetic series. So this formula, again, you do not have to have it memorized, is right here. So n is how many things we're adding together, so that would be 31. A1 is 4 plus an, that would be the A31, is 214 all over 2. So again, you can plug that straight into your calculator, and you should get that the sum is 3,379. Final answer. So there's your review. Let me know if you have any questions on anything. You can leave a comment on Google Classroom or send me an email, and I'll help you out with anything you get stuck on.